I think something else that surprised a lot of people, though, is Deion back with a vengeance at Colorado with no Travis Hunter, no Shedeur Sanders, no Shiloh Sanders. I think I was one of the people who was skeptical of what Deion's long-term aspirations at Colorado were, because it felt a little daddy ballish for those 2 years. But I think he has erased any questions about that. Deion starting year 3 at Colorado. They start against Georgia Tech on Friday night. That's going to be one of the better games of week 1. That's going to be very interesting because Brent Key's done a fabulous job at Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
But Deion Sanders, we haven't really talked about this since we relaunched the show. I think he proved any of us who thought he didn't have a long-term desire to be successful at Colorado, he's proved us wrong in the most dramatic way possible. He had cancer this year. He had his bladder removed. He could have said, you know what? I'm going through some stuff here. I don't need to coach anymore. I'm wealthy. I'm one of the greatest football players who ever lived. I don't need this. Instead, he's now coaching without a freaking bladder at Colorado. So if there was any doubt whether he cares or whether this matters to him, it sure does. Still, you lose the best player in college football. You lose your record-setting quarterback. What does this look like in year 3 at Colorado, guys?
I think this is one of those moments where it's okay to say as professionals that we don't really know. We don't really know. Like there's so much volatility in this program, and I don't mean that has a negative connotation, but there's a lot of volatility by design from day one. Some of it we overreacted to, some of it we may have underreacted to, and then some of it I think was also just Deion and that staff with a kind of progressive mindset on the on the changes in the portal specifically, right? We go back, it's a little bit like political coverage these days. Deion had so many headline moments so quickly in succession that first year. It's hard to remember. But you remember the outrage about when he walks into the team meeting and he tells, hey, I'm bringing in my Louis luggage and you guys aren't going to be here and all this kind of stuff. While he put a lot of that on Front Street and literally had it videotaped in front of these kids, that's not different than what many other coaches.
It's every coach.
Yeah. Right.
Every coach has that meeting.
Traditional. Just doesn't use Louis maybe or
correct.
Or
yeah.
I'm bringing my Samsonite luggage, gentlemen.
That would probably like a Carhartt work bag in a lot of instances.
I hit the Tumi store in the airport.
Coming here.
Yeah. We could debate luggage choices amongst coaches. I think some of the most successful coaches are still probably throwing stuff in a garbage bag, but Deion is perpetually misevaluated. And it's hard. Some of that is by Deion's design. I think Deion was also kind of crazy like a fox, Andy, in those first couple of years because he did put the focus on him when they decided to basically play football without an offensive line for a little while, or they had a tremendous amount of kind of palace intrigue on how that offense was being run. Sean Lewis, who's now the San Diego State head coach, was kind of there as a high-profile OC hire. He came from the MAC as a head coach, and that didn't work out. They kind of reshuffled. Deion was wise to sort of always make himself the celebrity, to hide from a lot of things. He was wise to wrap his arms all the way around the media to protect the development of his son as well as Travis Hunter. All these things are gone now, to your point, Andy. And I was one of those people. You said you were. Ross, I don't know where you fell on this. I just assumed he would chase an NFL gig. I really did. I assumed this was going to be a short shelf life. I don't understand what he's doing now. Again, that's not I'm not trying to phrase this as a pejorative, but what is he, Andy? If he's successful this year, if they're above 500, they go to a bowl. Is this 5 more years? Is this 6 more years? I'm really genuinely curious now.
This would be a really good coaching job relative to what he took over.
Yes.
He took over a 1-11 program.
Yeah.
If you take a 1-11 program and you make it a perennial bowl program,
yeah,
that's great.
At a place like Colorado, whose old money and boosters and culture don't really understand the things you got to do in college football, and then you bring in someone who understands football better than all of us, right?
Yeah.
So this would be a success story by way of several rounds of media fatigue. And it's one of those where I cannot believe I'm saying this. After the amount of sheer exhaustion we all felt from Deion those first 2 years, I'm kind of interested in this team this year. But I'm interested in the football.
But if you look
part.
at their transfer portal numbers compared to the last 2 years,
okay,
it's very different. The last 2 years, their transfer portal numbers are in the 50s. This year, they're in the high 20s or low 30s. They are very average compared to the mainstream college football team in terms of how much turnover in the roster they had. And it was actually more than they wanted because, like, their center left after spring practice and went to Texas Tech. They didn't expect that. They thought they were bringing him back. Their whole D-line, now some of these guys are transfers, but they were on the team last year. Like, it's not like they're plugging in a ton of new starters. Now, they are 4 offensive line starters or transfers this year, but again, not by choice. They were hoping to have more back, and somebody left. But Jordan Seaton, their starting left tackle, signed out of high school.
Even that, Andy, is not forgivable. I feel like I don't have the right phraseology to talk about Deion, but it's understandable now X amount of years into portal culture, whereas the O-line turnover, we're like, you got to stop doing that. I don't care if you are crazy like a fox. This is not how you develop O-line play. But now you look across national title contenders, and there's more plug and play out of necessity on the offensive line than ever before because that's the market we're in now. So even
LSU's
that doesn't
got 2 transfer O-linemen starting. Like,
yeah,
okay.
You are going to have to account for inconsistency across your lines now at the very top of this sport as well as the bottom. So, Barry Odom in Purdue flushed the roster to the same degree that Deion did at Colorado when they got there with none of the attention, right? Yep. Barry Odom comes in, first year Power 2 head coach, turns the whole roster over. Rich Rod, who we just talked about, had 1 fewer transfer this year. This is just a thing we do now. And Deion was the one who sort of brought it in and unapologetically put it up front. How we reacted was our business.
He started the trend, and not just Purdue and Barry Odom, right? I think one behind them was West Virginia. As far as
Rich Rod,
people, 50. I think 50 out of the portal, 74 new players. Chapel Hill, 70 new players. I don't know how many out of the portal, but it was in the 40s, I think.
Oklahoma State, where Mike Gundy has been the head coach since 2005, fits in that category. That's like Colorado is
as a side note, that smells desperate
compared to that.
Yeah, suddenly smells a little desperate over there in Stillwater.
Yeah,
we're running out of people to blame.
Good transition later to the hot seat.
We are running out of people to blame in Stillwater real fast.
Yeah.
But I am fascinated by it. So Colorado brings in Julian Lewis, the star freshman quarterback, and Deion brings him to media days, and you think, oh, maybe he's competing with Kaidon Salter, who's the Liberty transfer, who was the starter at Liberty the last couple of years. That's not what was going on. I mean, they were competing, but Kaidon Salter was going to be the starter. Deion said it this week. He's like, of course he was going to be the starter. He would like to get Julian Lewis some playing time if he can. Georgia Tech's probably not the ideal opponent for that right out of the gate, because if you're putting your freshman in, it might mean the game's out of hand and not in the way you like. So Kaidon Salter, though, very accomplished college quarterback, like not going to be intimidated by playing against Georgia Tech right out of the gate. So I am fascinated to see this, the receiving core, because obviously Travis Hunter was a big part of that, but so was Horn, so was LeJontay Wester last year. A guy like Draylon Miller, who was a freshman that they signed out of high school, who played some last year. Like, does he take a bigger role? I'm fascinated to see what they do.
Well, I was just like a lot of people. I mean, Godfrey asked the question earlier. I was in the same boat as far as Deion's tenure at Colorado. I mean, I think I put it at like 2.5 years as the over/under. Whether that meant him going to the NFL or going to like another bigger college job, or just leaving, just in general leaving after his sons did. But here he is, and without a bladder, or a recreated bladder from his some other organ.
That was like bringing his doctors to that press conference.
Yeah. It was wild. Yeah.
Do you think
he's a different cat, and boy, that showed it, right? He's just like putting it all out there, depends, all that stuff.
Turned it into a deal, an endorsement deal for himself.
Yeah, endorsement deal. It depends. I know.
Because that just tells, like, and people can be cynical about that. I'm sorry. When you have a situation like that, there's a couple ways you can go. One is woe is me, and everyone would understand. Like, no one would criticize you for it. he turns it into an endorsement deal. That's the type of person he is. He's a chicken salad out of chicken something else kind of person.
I think it's also that he is more cognizant than we want to give him credit for on how often he operates in the spotlight. And so he knows he's going to have to bring an extra level of verification because he knows he's going to receive an extra level of criticism. So I think bringing the doctors in was almost a sort of emphatic move to say, look, I know what you're all thinking. I know most of you expected me to retire today and blow it off because my kid's not here playing quarterback. You knew that criticism was mounting because everybody, like, God, the amount of completely false rumors floating around amongst coaches in the industry, amongst agents in the industry, amongst
in the
all
days
the people we talked to.
That,
it was nasty stuff.
Yeah.
I officially forgive everybody who sent me something saying, hey, it's this, da-da-da, he really wants to do this with Shedeur or whatever. Hey, it turns out everybody was wrong. So I think, again, I just think he's got more credit than we've ever wanted to give him on how to work in the public space. When you really want to live in the spotlight, when you want to be a reality show guy, is he still, I don't know if he's still taping that reality show or whatever, but I think he's doing it at a level that some non-sports celebrities could probably take note and understand his nuance there. And then, yeah, he did get another check from it, Andy, to your point.
Yeah, but he's brilliant when it comes to all that. I mean, he's brilliant about how to handle like the media and how to get, attention, honestly. And he does a great job of it. It's incredible to like watch, when he got the job. I mean, I think you guys mentioned it, like the Louis Vuitton sort of speech. I mean, who in their right mind, what coach would ever record something like that and think that this was going to go over well? He did, and it didn't go over like super well, but holy cow, it got a lot of attention, and now it's the norm, sort of. So,
but the thing was, and this is where I appreciate him doing that. It always was the norm. He brought that into the light, and he knew that because he's coached players, and obviously he was a big time college football player.
Sort of refreshing for all of us too. It's sort of like
he knew how that operated, and he wanted to show the rest of the world how that operates, and you learned.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Andy, because I only seek to sort of try and get to the most honest point when it comes to the game we play in the media with the actual stakeholders, the coaches and the ADs and all that stuff. I've always just endeavored to let's just be as honest as possible. So I give him a lot of credit for doing that, because whether you like Deion or not, whether you think he's overexposed, I guarantee you his bedside manner with the kids he's cutting or the kids he's putting on scholarship or in general is far better than maybe one of your favorite historical college coaches. In fact, I'll go ahead. I'll give you a name right now. If I had a child who was 18 who was going to commit, I would send them to Deion Sanders 100% of the time before I would hand them to Bobby Petrino to do anything. Full stop. Like, I mean, this is the kind of like honesty we need to have about this, is that he may be overexposed, he may be annoying, and you may not like him either for cultural, political reasons, but he's not the snake that a lot of people made him out to be when it comes to his treatment of the athlete, because he was an athlete.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, and one of the other things we should say, and like we're all like acknowledging what we thought that Deion would do, leave, whatever, not stay after his sons, all that. But there's also another thing, like this first year, and I was probably at fault here. Certainly a lot of other media members were at fault, or more at fault, is like the anonymous coach, athletic director stories of like, this is going to fail. It's going to be a disaster. Look out, and boom, he's went from 1-11 to what, 8 wins and 10 wins.
Yeah. They had 4 wins and then 9 wins. So
4 and 9.
Yeah.
Damn, where was he getting 8 from? I don't know.
Very difficult.
Like 8. Going from 1 to 4. It felt like
that first year. But no, so now you don't have the cheat code that is Travis Hunter. You don't have Shedeur. And we're going to see how good a coach Deion Sanders is. Yeah. I'm excited to see it.
But Andy, I'm just fascinated because like they're not conference champion favorites. Like they're not Iowa State right now. They're not K-State. They're not Arizona State. Okay.
But if they are a 7-5 team,
yes,
you
this
have
is where
to
I'm going.
Judge it through the prism of he took over a 1-11 team a few years ago.
That's not where I'm going. I'm just curious. Like, Andy, if they're 7-5 this year, God knows the man can recruit. That would position them to be a step above in 26. I'm really curious. How long is this going to command his attention? How long is he going to be interested?
He's doing it with no bladder when he has no reason to do it at all. So I think he's in.
So we're talking. I mean, it's kind of insane to say this out loud now. Where I think like he's at least. I don't know if he's going to be at Colorado 6 years from now, but I think he might be coaching. If he's willing to do this,
I think he's definitely coaching. It's just The only question with this is now is he too good at Colorado,
right,
to stay there?
But like health wise, I mean, not just his bladder, but his foot, his toes, and all that stuff too. He still has issues with all that. So you wonder how long that he really wants to go as far as health. Well, how much can he put into it? You know, we already know the stories about him in recruiting, right? Not making basically in-home visits. Part of that probably is because of his health. And like, I just wonder how long that can.
So the question to ask then is, what's the Florida State buyout every year?
This year it's $55 million. I think.
Still, way too
That's
much.
why I said he's got a minute.
Yeah.
He's got a minute. Yeah.